Hello everyone, welcome to Mach 30's Yuri's Night celebration. Celebrate space by getting involved. We've got a couple of last minute preparations to make and then we'll get started. Hang tight. Mo, you good? Come back. Good evening, everyone. My name is Jay Simmons. I'm the president of Mach 30, and I'll be your host for tonight's celebration of Yuri's Night at Mach 30. Celebrate space by getting involved. Sponsored by Innovations Technology Solutions, LLC. Throughout the evening, we're going to be monitoring Twitter at the hashtag M30YN12, short for Mach 30 Yuri's Night 12. Be sure to ask us questions, meet other participants at the party, and provide feedback and answer trivia questions throughout the evening using this hashtag. Also, don't forget to invite your friends. It's not too late for them to join us at that link right there, bit.ly/M30YN12. And again, my name is Jay Simmons, and I will be your host this evening. We have a panel from across a number of our partner organizations joining us tonight. First up on the panel is Greg Moran, Vice President of Mach 30. Second up is James Carlson, Executive Director of the School Factory. And last but not least is Ken Walczak of Adler Planetarium, woohoo! Of Adler Planetarium, and the lab manager for the Far Horizons High Altitude Balloon program there. We'll also be joined by Maureen Carruthers, also a member of the board of directors. She'll be helping us connect the Google Hangout to Twitter. She'll be monitoring that hashtag that I showed you earlier, M30YN12, so that messages can be delivered to the rest of the participants. Again, welcome, welcome, welcome. As I said, we're going to have presentations from each of our panelists, and we will also have opportunities to ask questions and provide feedback to those panelists, and we'll have trivia contests. And at the end, successful entries into the trivia contest will go into a raffle at the end of the event for lovely Mach 30 and Yuri's Night related t-shirts and mugs. I'm going to go ahead and get started and announce the first presentation. Here we go. Greg Moran recently presented background information and an introduction to Mach 30 and its mission of developing open source spaceflight hardware at the Ignite New Mexico event. He has been kind enough to share the video of that presentation with us, and we're going to see that this evening and then take questions that Greg can answer. Without further ado, here is Greg's presentation on Mach 30.
Right now we are local. We are local to Earth. And Earth is a lovely place, and we like being on Earth. But we're thinking maybe we want to expand a little bit further. The next presenter that we're going to have is going to show us maybe how we can get started just on that. It's open source spaceflight hardware. What? By Greg Moran. Thank you.
Howdy, my name is Greg, and I'm going to talk to you tonight about open source spaceflight hardware. And did you know that only 600 people have ever had the opportunity to travel in space? That's 1/1,000,000 of 1% of the folks have ever had that opportunity. And it's sad because it's such an amazing experience, and it shouldn't be limited to such a small and special group of people. And as the Vice President of Mach 30, we are working to increase those odds for everybody here. And to tell you a little bit about how we plan to do that, I first want to talk about open source software. And a definition of open source software is software or product that has origins, formulas, and the design, etc., openly available and free to the public. In fact, some of the most successful companies in the world would not exist today without open source software. And that concept, those principles, have expanded beyond software and into physical things like hardware projects, circuits. The growth of this industry has spawned things like an annual conference, and they've gotten publicity through blogs and through magazines. Even the industries like farm equipment, cars, printers, yes, and even space flight is taking advantage of open source. And to describe how space flight is taking advantage of that, we first need to talk about what it actually means to be spacefaring. So the definition's here on the board, but I prefer to think about it in terms of what it means or the similarities to seafaring, or being able to live and operate safely in and around the sea or the ocean. But, so, aren't we spacefaring already? I mean, we have advances in medical technology because of space. We have industry in terms of commercial or economic markets. But with 1/1,000,000 of 1% of people being accessible to space, I'd say we're not quite there yet. But by using open source methodologies, I think the possibility of opening this up to spacefaring within my lifetime is a real possibility. And as Vice President of Mach 30, that's exactly what we're trying to do. And it actually turns out that there's a dozen other people as crazy as I am. And so there's examples across the country of folks, Copenhagen suborbitals and Mach 30 are the two I'm going to talk about tonight. But Portland State Aerospace Society does all of their senior designs open source. There's the Ultralight Spaceflight Federation, the open source movement. And so let's go specifically into Copenhagen. Based in Denmark, Peter and Christian are leading their team of 30 volunteers towards the goal of launching themselves into space. And you can see one example here. There's several more examples on their blog, the Rocket Shop, from Wired magazine. And they have some pictures. The capsule on the upper right is sized for one person. Ooh. That's what I want to do. So the second group I'm going to talk to tonight is Mach 30. And we are incorporated 501c3 public charity in Dayton, Ohio. We've recently celebrated our 3rd birthday of incorporation. Woohoo! Thank you. What we spent most of our time doing so far is developing the enabling technologies and the fundamental tools which will allow the collaboration of these open source hardware groups, specifically the Open Design Engine and OpenEering Wiki, which are critical for open source hardware projects to exist in the first place. Projects such as the Shepard test stand on the left, or high altitude balloons on the right, which are stepping stone approaches to getting us access to space. But since we're doing this in an open manner, anyone has access to see what we're doing. And everybody can contribute, from the local hackerspace, or sign artists, or people who typeset presentations. Everybody can participate. So, in order to see how to participate, we started something called the drawing board, which is where we put our technical and non-technical projects alike. So if you have any ideas related to space or how to get there, please visit that site. We also have, of course, the requisite Facebook page, Google+, Twitter, Flickr, YouTube, you name it. So we're there. We're on the internet. Please come and find us or email me directly, gmn@mach30.org. And so I'd like to close this presentation by saying ad astra per civitatem, which means to the stars through community. And that community is you. So please come talk to me after the class and talk about how you can get involved.
All right. Thank you very much, Greg. That was a great video.
Awesome. Thank you.
So I have a quick question while I wait and see what the Twitterverse has to ask you. But I have a question for you, and that is, where did you go to dig up the statistic about the 1/1,000,000th of a percent, or however that went?
That was a couple of different things. Of course, it was several searches through Google and Wikipedia to get total numbers of astronauts, and then a quick calculation of approximating the population of the planet. So divide those two numbers and you get 1/1,000,000th of 1%, plus or minus.
There you go.
It was a shocking statistic. I didn't realize that it would have been that small, but now that I think about it, that makes sense.
There you go. There you go.
All right, well, so far the questions from Twitter are mostly about the prizes for trivia. So,
valid and important questions nonetheless.
So just be perfectly clear, it was, and I'm going to say all of your all of your Twitter names wrong, so sorry about that. But Gtal wants to know what can he win. And the answer is we've got 2 T-shirts, one with the logo for the party and one with the Mach 30 tagline on it. We've got a Yuri's Night mug, and we've got a couple of bumper stickers that we'll have pictures of later. It's all going to be very exciting. All right, I am going to give people a couple more seconds, but I'm refreshing the hashtag and not seeing a lot of other questions. So unless the other speakers have questions, we might have to move straight on to the trivia.
Which seems to be the most interesting part of the night.
Which is evidently the awesomest thing that we have planned. Right, JMF wants to know how people get on the drawing board.
Good question. That's the URL was in the slides, but I don't know. Is there a way to paste the URL into the YouTube stream, or maybe just
if Maureen could maybe post it to Twitter.
To Twitter.
Why don't I do that?
Brilliant.
And then it's just a simple sign up. You go to register for an account on the site, and it does have a quick approval process, but everyone that requests gets approved. It just takes a couple minutes to get it processed, and then you have an account.
Wikispaces is the website.
Yeah, I had to go find it, but
Yeah,
I'm
I
doing
did
it
too.
now. You could probably say it out loud, Greg, for the people who
For those who are
aren't on
listening,
Twitter.
it's
I don't know why you wouldn't be on Twitter. We're having a ton of fun over here.
for those that just want to write this down using the old-fashioned pen and paper style.
What's that?
Mach 30 Drawing Board. That's all one word. Mach 30 Drawing Board.wikispaces.com. And if you have a Wikispaces account, log in and jump on in.
All right. It seems like G-Tal, who was quizzing himself earlier on trivia, is really ready to get to the trivia part of the evening.
All right.
And I'll mute myself so I don't spoil it for everybody else.
All right.
You know
well,
the answers, yeah.
we will we'll do round one. There are going to be several rounds of trivia. Here comes round one. Don't forget to post your answers to the trivia questions to the Twitter hashtag. They're on the screen.
And I'm just going to do them in the order that the first one to come across to me. So that's just the first right answer.
Gets an entry for the raffle at the end.
Yes.
All right. Here we go. Question 1. What class of ship is the Serenity? And for a bonus entry, what is its class code? I would hum the Jeopardy theme here, but I don't want to get copyright infringement.
All right.
Out there in the Twitterverse, no one watched the Fox network television show that lasted half a season, Cowboys in Space.
Probably had almost enough time to Google it by now, so...
All right. 5, 4, 3, 2...
Oh, wait. Here we go. Firefly class.
Ding, 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 ding. Who was that?
That's G-Tal, who has been practicing.
Absolutely. There you go.
Oh, and we got a second one, right? Two people, both at 8:46.
What's the tiebreaker?
I'm just going to give it to both of them.
There you go, because it's entries into a raffle.
It's entries into a raffle.
All right. Next question.
Hold on. Can you give me just... Well, go ahead, because it took a minute before.
Yep.
So.
What was the date, including the year, of the first human spaceflight? Down, Greg. Down.
I'll sit on my hands.
There you go.
Well done.
I'll give you a hint. It has some...
Well,
What, Maureen?
they might have answers.
Oh,
I'm
you're in the wrong window.
going back and forth.
Gotcha.
Okay. Oh, we had all these people who finally came with Firefly, but they lost the hashtags. But dang it.
It's very
All
important
right.
to remember the hashtag.
The winner is, for the second question, is Mont Sector. Montsecor.
Awesome.
Congratulations. And looks
And
like
what was the answer?
G-Tal was also here with at the same at 8:47. Holy crap. Sorry, there's lots of people who all got him at this 8:47.
All right.
We're also going to let Alpha Logic, although Alpha Logic only had 1961. What do you think?
The question asked for the full date, didn't it?
Yeah,
It
but it's
did.
a party. I'm inclined. I'm inclined. I'm inclined to be lenient.
I bet they could probably, figure out the date if they thought about
Yeah.
it.
So it's April 12th, 1961, which is, of course,
right, I need
the
you to
flight of
wait
Yuri
then for-
Gagarin. Is also, of course, the flight of Yuri Gagarin, which happened to be an orbital flight, and it actually took the U.S. a couple of attempts to get up to an orbital flight. The first American astronaut actually was a suborbital flight. And Maureen, you said you needed to.
Yeah, this is
Takes a moment to bookkeep. I understand.
yeah, the copying and pasting is
Takes a moment.
it takes a little longer than I thought.
It's one of those things when you rehearse this, it sounds good, except for you don't get a chance unless you actually get audience people to answer questions to copy and paste their handles into the answer
and
key.
I
But
whine here about it, but I'm having to copy different. It doesn't matter.
That's all right.
It's a boring story anyway.
all good. It's a boring exactly.
Technology.
It's interesting to note, too, that the Russians actually, or Soviet Union at the time, actually continue to have a number of firsts ahead of the U.S. operations in space. First rendezvous, if I remember correctly, certainly the first spacewalk, the first multi-crew mission. There was a pretty big sense in the early part of the 60s that the U.S. is playing catch-up. Of course, at the end of the day, the U.S. did have a great big first at the end, namely the first humans to walk on another planetary body, the Moon, Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin.
Okay, let me go back here. Alright, I'm all caught up, and it looks like there are no... I'm refreshing my stream, and it seems like I'm
People are
all
ready
caught up.
and you're ready. All right. So question number 3. What musical instrument did Captain Picard learn to play in the Star Trek The Next Generation episode, The Inner Light? Ken's like, I don't know.
I don't know that one either. Google.
Panelists are not available to participate in the trivia.
Eligible, I think is the word
That's
you're
the
looking
word
for.
I want. I knew I wanted a word, and it just wasn't coming.
I gotcha.
How's Twitter doing with Googling for the answer?
We're not there yet, but this is the one place where there's a slight delay
Right.
between what's the... Oh, here we go. We've got DJ Echelon with Tin Whistle? Question mark. Is that close enough?
I'd say that's kind of close.
And then we have G-Tal, who really wants a T-shirt with a flute.
Yes. But it was a kind of a very small flute, if those that have seen the episode will recall. So I think Tin Whistle is an understandable response.
And we also have Dan Branda with Resican flute, which I think was the whole
wow.
thing.
Wow. That is ding, 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 ding.
All right, so I'm going to give Dan 2 entries.
Excellent.
And,
It is a party, after all. That was either some really great Google foo, or or a Star Trek fan after my own heart.
So then Dan, G-Tal, and DJ Echelon, I mentioned that I'm going to say your names wrong all night long, right? Okay. All get... Oh, and there's a couple more who also got in at the 8:51.
All right.
So we're also going to give it to Danielle, KJ44, and Mont Sector. You were 1 minute late, so I'm sorry.
Ah, curses. Network lag. Foiled by network lag, surely.
Yeah. Okay.
So while Maureen makes sure that all the winners are captured properly in our list so that we can they get their appropriate raffle entries, I don't know, for those that haven't seen this episode, it's kind of an interesting episode because He learns to play the whistle in an almost the flute rather, in an almost dream state, but then winds up actually taking possession of it because he was put into this dream state by a deep space probe from this alien race that had died out centuries before. But on board the probe was the program to project an experience of living on this world, and much like on the Voyager probes where we've put recordings of various sounds and greetings of Earth, they actually stored on the probe a real copy of one of those flutes. And so while he learned to play the flute in kind of like a Matrix-like experience, he wound up being able to play it when he woke up from the dream.
Wow. I was going to say TMI on that, except you linked it really well to the Voyager craft.
Thank you. I was going somewhere, it turns out.
All right. I am caught up. Our winners have won their raffle tickets virtually. I'm ready for the next question.
All right. Question number 4. How many countries have set humans into space on their own launch vehicles? Greg, I think this actually goes along with the material you were presenting at the beginning of your talk to Ignite New Mexico. It's another one of those numbers that seems obscenely small.
Absolutely. And hopefully increasing, yes?
Yes, hopefully. Although, I think there's going to be a little bit of a lag there for that to really take hold. But
Alright, it's hard for me to know if the lag is Hootsuite or what.
Well, there's also the lag between our conversation and what shows up on YouTube. That lag is anywhere from 5 to 15 seconds. So.
Alright, well I still don't have, I'm not seeing anything yet. But,
I see an answer. Alan Tupper, or DJ Echelon.
in the stream?
With the hashtag?
Yeah. Oh, here we go.
So part of it is Hootsuite.
See, the problem is that I've also got some Hootsuite issues.
Oh,
Yeah.
there you go.
So, but we've got lots of winners here.
Yay!
Daniel KJ44 said 2, so I'm guessing that you were missing China. But GTAL, DJ Echelon went for the extra credit by naming them 3: the United States, Russia, USSR, and China.
Oh, and even got the Russia-Soviet
Yes.
Union description.
You think, yeah, so he gets 2 entries. And Mont Sector also got it with 3. Dan got it with 3. Dolan went with 4. So, and since we now know that Hootsuite is stupid,
Let's not call them names on a public broadcast.
Sorry, you're right. Sorry. I'm willing to expect there might be some operator error actions going on here.
I'm curious what the 4th one was.
Well, I'm not aware of a 4th one in terms of human launch. There are actually the club is much larger for payload launch.
And animals.
And animals. So Japan can launch payloads. Various ESA, so various countries count as members of ESA, the European Space Agency, for payload launch. India also has payload launch capability. North Korea was trying this afternoon to join the payload community, or to test a missile, or both.
Or something.
They certainly did something. But I haven't heard the details on how that went down.
Any idea? Any idea if they actually tried to time it for Yuri night? I kind of think it's kind of interesting. They did the same day.
I didn't even think about that until I was just now talking about it. But that's They've been on a countdown for a couple of weeks. They've been doing tests, and then they got real serious in the last week or so.
I think it also coincides with some anniversary of the grandfather of the current.
Yeah, you're right. It does.
Kim
I think you're
Jong
right.
Il.
Yeah, that would be more
Soon.
appropriate.
Maybe coincidence.
Yes.
Now, while Maureen's catching up on entries, actually, to Greg's comment while we were waiting for answers to come in from the Twitterverse, that hopefully that number is going to grow in the near future. I think one interesting thing that we saw in the news today that Greg and I saw was that apparently Virgin Galactic, the folks building White Knight 2 and Spaceship 2, or rather the folks that are going to operate it, Richard Branson's company, for space tourism for suborbital flights, have apparently cleared all ITAR hurdles and gotten the vehicle to be registered as a non-ITAR vehicle. And although I have seen no news to explain what all benefits they see in the business case for that, I think two ones come to my mind real fast. One of them is that you don't have to clear your passengers to be screened and be ITAR approved to even get on board the vehicle, which would probably be very important for space tourism as an international business. And then the other is I have to wonder if this clears them, makes a significant hurdle cleared for them in order to consider selling vehicles to foreign nations and foreign corporations.
This goes back in the conversation a little bit, but Dan Brando on Twitter says that Space.com reported that North Korea failed at the launch.
Ah, thank you for the update. Much appreciated. And that actually matches their current historical record for trying to do significant launches. They've, my understanding is that their medium-range stuff, their short and medium-range stuff, is reasonably reliable. But every time that they have said they were going to launch something to orbit, they have had some sort of catastrophic failure during launch. And I have mixed feelings about their attempts, since they're not exactly friends of ours, but at the same time, I think that the larger world society needs to get to a point where joining that community is not something that wraps us all up in fear and angst. So, all right, are we all caught up, Maureen, with answers?
I'm ready to go.
Awesome.
I am.
Oh my lord, it's already 9 o'clock. Question 5. What was the name of the book upon which Blade Runner is based? Bonus entry for the naming, for if you can name the author.
Yeah, I don't think I know that either.
Yeah, I have to say this is an area of sci-fi foo of where mine is weak. I had to be reminded of the answer when we were developing the trivia questions. I have to wonder whose picture is next to Ken's in his view that he's gobbling up. I think we all get different orders. Are you going after?
That's James. Yeah. Trying to squish his head.
Yeah.
There you go.
What's great is what's
we
broadcast
have
is
a winner.
opposite. Oh, yay!
We possibly have 2 winners. GTAL, again, Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep by Philip K. Dick, which I'm pretty sure that's right.
Yep, that sounds like the right answer to me.
And then Astra 6 also has the right answer, as does Danielle KJ44. And these are coming in weird orders, so I'm going to give it to all 3 of them.
All right.
And we 2 for the person who got the yes, for GTAL.
There you go.
Do you know this GTAL?
No,
Yeah.
no, but he was the one at the beginning who was
like
really
trivia,
excited
trivia,
about the
trivia.
Yeah, yeah.
And so now I'm just
Great job.
talking about him like I know him. Or her, actually. I got nothing.
All right.
All right, give me a second to get
Not
these
a problem.
entries in here.
Yeah, so now that I know that it was based on a book, I'm going to have to go out and find it.
Yeah, it's actually, I mean, I haven't read it myself. I really should at some point. But I do know by the title from talking to other people and just being a sci-fi nerd geek person that it's one of those classics of a more modern classic and staple of sci-fi. Awesome. James is recording his experience of the event for posterity.
I didn't wave, sorry.
Everyone say electric sheep.
This is like mission control here. That's why I got to take a picture of it.
That's awesome.
I had someone say that evidently I look angry. I would just like to be really clear that it's really about trying to focus on all of this stuff.
Yeah,
I'm
you
not
got a lot of
mad
tech.
at all.
You got a lot of tech going on there.
Yeah.
I promise that I'm having a really good time.
I don't envy you.
All right.
You good
I'm
to go?
caught up.
All right. Final trivia question for section 1.
All right, go ahead.
What is the crew size of the International Space Station?
Current crew size? I'm assuming you're asking for the current.
The current set crew size, not the current complement should there be guest vehicles up there for a crew rotation, but what is her spec crew size at present?
Be interested to know.
Mm-hmm. Of course, it has changed over time,
It has.
going both up and down.
Yep. Partly for technical reasons and partly to adjust for the Columbia accident and having to lower the rate of resupply and of up mass for new elements.
Have you ever actually seen the ISS from like at night?
Funny
damn
you
it.
should ask that, Ken.
Yes, indeed.
Greg's thesis involved tracking the ISS with a telescope.
I actually have several good videos of the International Space Station. Some of them that you can actually see that there's different solar panels and different modules, and
Nice.
the follow-on students have actually gotten some images where you could see if there's a shuttle docked.
Yeah, I saw one of those at school. That was crazy when I saw that. It was like, where'd you get that? And Cobb was like, the students took it. What do you mean, where did I get it?
Yep, from the roof. Where else would I go to take pictures of the space station?
Where else
Did you
do
hear
find
about
it?
the group in Texas who, that amateur astronomy group that actually shined a light on the space shuttle, and then they took a spotlight, and they were in contact with the someone on the crew, and they asked if they could see it.
Wow, no.
Okay, we've got some answers here.
They did. by the way.
Awesome.
Seriously,
Evidently,
that's
there's a
cool.
lot of girls in the Twitter stream. I think that the girls might be
Yay.
outnumbering the boys, and I think that's awesome.
Yay.
I will also
also,
share
we
that
have
opinion.
several winners here. The answer is 6, right?
Yes, that is
I'm not
correct.
looking at the answers.
The
I just
answer
wanna make
is
sure
6.
Well,
I'm
I'm
passing
impressed,
bad
Maureen. Good job.
information. I helped write the trivia. All right, so we have Dan, Gital, Secor, Danielle, and D Echelon entered, but it's a little off. It's doubled. So, and then also Atreus. So let me get these copied over here, and then I think we're about ready. That was the last.
That's the last one for round 1 of trivia.
Okay, good. So we can move on then to the next presentation, I think.
Yep, we'll go
While
ahead
I
and
do
get that
this.
started while you wrap that up.
Yep.
Awesome. Okay, so our next presenter will be James from School Factory. How you doing tonight, James?
Awesome.
Excellent.
I'm really excited.
Excellent. I think, Greg, you and I first met him at Maker Faire New York last year. Been email contact before that, but I think we first met face-to-face at Maker Faire. And School Factory also runs the Space Federation program, which is a collection of allied maker spaces or hacker spaces. So why don't you take it away, James?
Wonderful. Well, I am going to conduct a screen sharing experiment here. I think it will work really well if all goes according to plan. And draw a picture for you all. Let me just share my screen with you. All right. What I want to talk about is the concept of how we've built these hacker spaces and maker spaces across the country, and what we're thinking about as they relate to the future of education. You know, part of the challenge has been we've got a school system that we're looking at, and it's not really preparing people for the kind of jobs we need them to do. It's also not really preparing anybody to go to space. And how do we fix that? How do we build some system that can actually get people more connected here to the idea of space travel, or the idea of humanity as a spacefaring civilization? And I think that hacker and maker spaces can be how we actually get to that future. So what I'm going to do is, here we go. Now I can actually walk you through this. I'm going to go to screen share and share my desktop with you.
There you go.
Is that working?
Yes.
Cool. All right. So just some sketching on this topic of the Space Federation, right? So I want to roll back to 2002, 2012. We've got all these, you know, changes that have been happening in our country, right? We've gone through economic compression and economic growth, and a lot of things have been happening, and this trend for people to gather and form places where they can share tools and equipment has really picked up steam, because I think in cities and towns across America, people have been trying to find different ways to build community, to build family, to build business, to create economy. And they've had to think about those things very creatively, because there haven't been a lot of external options. And you know, one of the consequences of people getting together and doing this and asking more questions like what if has been that more and more hacker and maker spaces have launched. And you know, I know not all of you may know what a hacker or maker space is. But it's a consequence of asking what if. It's a consequence of saying what could we share, and how could we share things better. It's a lab for ideas. It's a place where there are all different kinds of tools. There are different kinds of equipment that people can use to build just about anything. And as well, you know, knowledge, computers, technology people can use, and people, above all, who are interested in exploring, learning, building, hacking, all the things that go along with our culture. And the best part is all this stuff's happening openly. And you know, a lot of adults who got involved in creating these places in the first place did so because they needed to build a job for themselves, again, because the economy not doing so well, not working so great. And anyone can use these places. So we have environments that are welcoming to just about anybody, whether they are an artist or an attorney, they're an actor, they're an accountant, they're the anyone of our civilization, the real anyone. And when I think about this part, I'm really excited because the anyone, if we think about ourselves as possibly going into space and having a spacefaring civilization, that's just anyone. that's a person for whom being in space is actually just the background to some other experience they're having. They're up there to negotiate some kind of a contract, or they're up there to build something, what have you. It's the background. So, you know, anyone can use these places. And now today, after, in just a decade, suddenly there are, you know, about 250 of these places all across the U.S. 250 environments in different cities where people can actually get together and make just about anything and have a social experience where making is a part of it. They have the infrastructure and tools to build all the parts that we need to go to space, right? So we're going to need to have all sorts of different pieces of equipment, ways of looking into the heavens and tracking things. We're going to need to have parts assembled in different areas and then possibly brought together in order to, you know, build a vehicle somewhere and launch it, or whatever that story might be, right? It's all sorts of infrastructure that we'll end up needing. But of course, you know, these spaces are already doing interesting stuff, right? You know, there's some really cool examples of things that are going on already. A lot of these places have already launched high-altitude balloons. So there's been, you know, things launched up into the upper atmosphere, and a lot of times what I think is really intriguing is that the people doing it are, you know, both families. There's kids involved with these projects. They're putting cameras up, and it's not an activity that the school says you got to do. It's something that these places decide to do because they want to. It's, again, one of these critical elements, I think, that really excites me about it. Another examples, and this is more coming from Europe, but I think the U.S. needs to join in too, and I hope that we can get the Space Federation here in the U.S. involved in this effort, but to launch a network of satellites that would make it possible for us to give the internet, you know, a universal voice that could never be blocked. Very interesting project, right? And it's going to take getting things into space to do it. So we've got this idea of, you know, hacker spaces and maker spaces as the places where we're going to build the infrastructure for space. What if these were also the schools? So now you have this future experience where I'm a young person, and what I think of when I am going to go to school for the day is that the outcome at the end of the line, my graduation ceremony, if you will, is to go into space in some way, right? It could be maybe I personally go, or it could be that I have, you know, launched some object in space. It could be any number of different things. What if that were the consequence? What if that were the outcome? And how much more exciting would it be to go to school knowing that's one of the things that's going to happen as an outcome? So now we have a society that's not necessarily going to school to learn how to get a job or, you know, a paper or something like that, but rather a trip to space. That sounds like a lot more fun reason to go to school. And so what I guess I'm wondering is, if we think that we can use, and how could we use, these places that are all over the land, already forming, getting ready, and able to share and teach, to build a way to get us into space and get kids to want to see, and even girls, I see, you know, there's been some girls watching tonight, to want to share in that mission. I think that's something we could do with this, and Mach 30 is really the center of that. So I'm interested in what you all think of the idea that school could be the process of getting to space. Think of it that way. I'll leave it at that. Let's see if I can fix it.
So James, you mind if I ask a question, or?
Yeah, go ahead.
Have you implemented like a program in schools right now, or is this in development?
What we're doing is we're starting with a program called Maker Scouts. We've been it's very new, the idea that we could organize some prototype troops at 2 or 3 of these spaces that are already having families. There's already people there who are members, who have families, who have kids, who have younger kids or teenager kids, and get them doing STEM activities. So we've been brainstorming, like what kind of STEM activities would it be worthwhile to do in the 21st century? for young kids to, to educate morally the way the Scouts do, the way the traditional Boy and Girl Scouts do, but use a different set of values and norms. It's very fresh and in development, but we want to approach it from the perspective of community groups first, homeschooling parents first, and then see if we can get into schools. Schools are hard to work with sometimes.
Yeah. Yes.
I do have a couple of questions from Twitter. The first thing, though, I want to add to this conversation is that Seth Godin recently wrote a manifesto that is very much in line with the ideas that you're talking about with how to change schools, called, it's like Stop Crushing Dreams, or something like that. But talking about how the schools of today are really set up to serve a market that we don't have anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So I do want to ask some of this, tell you some of the stuff that's going on here on Twitter. Mostly people are just psyched, so they think you're awesome. But we had one person ask, how do you find a local hacker or makerspace? Is there a list somewhere?
Oh yeah, there is. Hackerspaces.org is pretty much the definitive central directory. There are a ton of spaces, many in formation and many that need your help. So go and bring your inclination to make and your tools there.
Absolutely. Excellent selling point, James. That's the thing that I was going to mention. If there's not one near you, find a friend or two and start one. Absolutely.
Yep, that was what I was going to say too, is if there isn't one, start one. And be sure to register it on hackerspaces.org so that other people, when they want to find one in your area, can find you and join your hackerspace. And you guys can all work together.
There are also some people from Twitter talking about how, I hate saying their names, Sekor, I'm not a good reader, is working on a similar idea with a project called Pictor Project in Costa Rica.
Ooh.
And Dolan is going to work for the Center for Space Nuclear Research this summer. So,
congratulations.
Yay! Yeah. It's Stop Stealing Dreams is the Seth Godin. Thanks, DJ Echelon, for getting that right. And he is reading it now. It's really excellent. It's, read it.
Yeah,
and
no,
we should have a conversation about it later. Maybe we'll do another hangout about
Absolutely.
that.
Can you actually spell his last name?
Godin?
G-O-D-I-N.
Godin.
Okay, great.
He mostly writes about marketing, but
Yeah.
No, I remember somebody telling me about this before, and now that you mention it, yeah, this is...
It might have been me. I posted in the atrium, in the School Factory site.
That's what you did. That's right.
So I'm reminding you of me.
Eureka!
Brilliant!
All right.
But of course it would be Costa Rica, I have to say. Of course it would be Costa Rica, where they'd be planning that.
Yeah.
I'm so unsurprised.
All right.
That's too cool.
We also had an idea about setting up a sort of science Olympiad for space-related projects.
Excellent, yes.
Whether that exists or not.
What about
also, stuff about
robotics?
Maker Scouts. We'll have some more buying from homeschoolers. Makerscouts.org. Is that you, or is that...
It's us.
Another one. That is
Makerscouts.org. Yep, that's it.
Yeah. Okay.
Very beginning. Well, we'd love help. I mean, we're brainstorming what to do with what are the exercises about. I mean, we could not just, we don't want to just give kids guns and say this is how you shoot them, or this is how you pitch a tent, because that's sort of covered elsewhere. But what would be a science task or an adventure related to science? And space could be a great motivator. Just whether I'm learning about the heroics of someone like Yuri Gagarin, or I'm learning how to figure out where I am using satellites and space technology to do it. You know, those are all things I think we need to create space adventures on the ground to make Maker Scouts really interesting. What would that look like? Love to hear ideas on that, and you can actually participate in the conversation.
Space Camp also on the
decentralized space camp.
Yeah, exactly.
Every community has one. Like,
brilliant.
Everywhere, right?
Absolutely. That's the vision right there. Every community has a space camp.
for people who aren't watching this live, who watch the recording later, because there's great resources being shared here from people, and I wouldn't want to lose this. I think there's also going to be a way for me to capture the hashtag
awesome.
and keep it. I know that I've seen people do it. I don't know exactly how to do it. So if anyone out there does know how to do it, if you wanted to put that in the hashtag, that'd be sweet.
Awesome.
All right. I think we seem to have slowed down a bit.
Well, that sounds like a cue for another round 2 trivia. All right, here we go. Is everyone ready? Don't forget, although apparently there's plenty of conversation, so everyone by now knows of the hashtag M30YN12. So here we go. All these trivia questions are a test of your visual memory. The first one is to name the movie that this is a still shot from.
While we're waiting for those answers, I had another question. Is anybody familiar with the NASA CoLab, and are they still around?
I don't think I am in particular, but I do think I heard about another NASA education targeting young women, but I can't for the life of me remember what the name of it is, but I just started seeing press releases in the last couple of weeks.
I think NASA CoLab, if memory serves, was one of their first collaboration initiatives where they started going out and looking for people in the community that wanted to help with projects.
Interesting.
I do know that since then, I might be completely wrong on that, but that seems to be what my memory is telling me. Since then, there have been many other open source NASA initiatives. And so if you're interested in helping out on NASA projects, I'll have to think about where I saw that list of projects, but there are open source NASA initiatives that anybody can help with.
Yeah, NASA has been launching lately a number of open source software projects. What they've been doing is taking stuff that they'd already been working on and relicensing them openly. This is everything from Vehicle Sketchpad, which is a tool for laying out the geometry of aircraft and aerodynamic spacecraft, such as things like the shuttle or lifting body vehicles, to orbital mechanics prediction tools and mission planning tools. And James just messaged me. There's something comcolab.com that apparently is associated with the Ames facility at NASA.
All right, are we going to have to skip this one? I'm not seeing any answers. Although usually when I say that, it turns out that there were like 7 that just hadn't come
to you yet.
I don't see any on my stream.
All right, well, maybe we'll just go to the next one.
All right. And this is, I'm going to go ahead and give the answers, was the 80s Buck Rogers, if I recall correctly. Right, Maureen?
Flash Gordon.
Flash Gordon, I mean, sorry. The other piece like that.
It's the same thing.
Not really at all. My apologies to sci-fi fans everywhere of that genre. I'm more of a Star Wars and Star Trek guy. Sorry. All right, next one up is to name the rocket and/or capsule shown on the screen now. You get a bonus for naming both of them. case folks haven't noticed, there's a theme. It is a party, so we do want to keep it lighthearted, so there's plenty of sci-fi mixed in with reality.
Alright, I did actually get one answer just now, taking a wild stab in the dark. And I'm pretty sure she probably sent this before we said the answer. So, Dolan, you are going to get your credit
Nick
for
of
Flash
time.
Gordon.
Unfortunately, I can't tell the panelists what the picture is without giving away the answer. And they can't see it because of how we're doing the hangout here on broadcasting on YouTube. But I have to say this is one of my favorite vehicles that NASA developed.
We've had 2 guesses, and the first guess was Mercury Redstone, which I believe is not right.
This is a little bit after Mercury Redstone.
And then I have Atlas Rocket, which I think is also wrong, but
Correct.
Gemini Capsule.
It's a Gemini capsule, but not on an Atlas.
And then we have another person who said Atlas Gemini. And then I have Feminist on an Atlas, which is either a joke or it's a typing weirdness.
It might
I think
be
that
an
might be an
autocorrect.
autocorrect fail.
Yes.
That might be the best autocorrect ever if that's what it was.
Thanks, Dan. That's a good laugh. That's that
So
one.
I think we'll go ahead and grab the ones that said Gemini. I'm inclined to be to give feminist, assuming that that's
Yeah.
Gemini autocorrected. And the rocket, that's Gemini's the name of the capsule, and the rocket is actually a Titan. Mercury flew on both the Redstone and the Atlas rocket. It actually took an Atlas rocket to put a Mercury capsule into orbit. The ones that flew on top of Redstone rockets were suborbital. The Gemini was so named after the twins because it is the first U.S. 2-person spacecraft. And
All right.
I forget for sure, but this might be Gemini 3. We looked at a couple different images for Gemini, so I can't quite remember whether or not this was Gemini 3 or one of the other ones we were looking at.
Well, you can come to the Adler and see the Gemini 12.
Ooh!
Excellent.
Very cool.
I don't think we said before that Adler is in Chicago.
Oh, yes.
Yep. Important note, especially if you wanted to go see Gemini 12.
All right, I'm ready when you are.
All right, I think let's do one more,
Yeah.
and then we'll move
Why
on.
don't you skip to the other real one instead
Sure.
of the sci-fi one?
So, not going to ask this one. Do not answer this one. Let's do this one, though. Name this vehicle. Again, unfortunately, I can't really talk much about it with the panel right this minute since they can't see what the picture is.
I have to go find out where we put our brainstorming notes. Then.
There you go.
I missed it.
I'm being clever here so I can see what
That explains the mission control comment. How many computers are you surrounded by right this minute? Oh, I think you got muted maybe, James.
I said far too many right now.
Far too many. There you go.
But is there such a number?
No. No.
It looks like this right now.
Oh, that's very groovy. Do that again real quick. I'm going to put you on real fast so that everyone can see that in full screen.
Yeah. It's the only way I can
That's
see what
impressive.
you're doing, plus draw, plus be a part of the conversation, plus not, it's like, yeah. Big mix.
Very, very nice. Very, very nice. I'll go back to the trivia question.
All right, we've got some winners. We have 3 winners. Yeah. We've got, a Soyuz, and DJ Echelon, Jatal, Monsector, and all got it. We had a guess of the Chandra Space Telescope.
It's an understandable guess. It does have a telescopy look about it. It actually turns out that this and this are where crew can be. It's actually two separate compartments, and when the vehicle returns from space, only this middle piece comes back. The back's jettisoned off, the solar rays go with it, and this front end right here is jettisoned off, and all that burns up in the atmosphere, and just this piece is the part that returns from space. And then right up here, all this funny business on the nose is the docking port that allows it to connect to the ISS. And of course, right now, this is the only vehicle that has human crew capacity to the ISS, and each one holds 3 crew members, which is how we get to the previous answer of 6 total crew on the ISS, because we have 2 Soyuzes docked at any given point in time, which provides just enough capability to bring down the entire crew should there ever be an emergency situation. My Google Docs went away.
That's not good.
They came back, though. It's all fine.
Okay. I think we're ready.
All right. Now it's time to turn it over to Ken from Adler Planetarium and the Far Horizons program. We met actually at a small conference about CubeSats last November, I think it was, and almost immediately said, hey, open source and high-altitude balloons, those things go together. We should find a way to work out a partner arrangement to get Adler's experience in high-altitude balloons shared far and wide. So Ken, take it away.
All right. Well, yeah, as Jay mentioned, I'm a manager of the Far Horizons project. Far Horizons is the name of, well, fundamentally, the Adler Planetarium's space program. We're, for over 5 years now, we have actually been launching high-altitude balloons. And these high-altitude balloons actually get into the stratosphere. We usually reach somewhere around the 100,000 feet or 30-kilometer above the ground range. And the conditions there are about 60 times the radiation environment as you experience on the ground, about 1% of atmospheric density. We've had temperatures in excess of -70 degrees Celsius. So you're really starting to get a flavor for what it is to explore space. And we've done almost 50 launches in our 5 years, involving a lot of schools. Anywhere from, we have actually had middle school age children all the way up to high school, undergraduate. We've had some graduate student help, and also volunteers, a very big community of volunteers. It's been growing a lot as we get the word out. Because one of the big goals of the Far Horizons Project is to, eventually, this is why I met Jay at the CubeSat conferences, we want to start a honest-to-goodness space program, mainly driven by students and volunteers and makers, hackers, and the more we can reach out to that community, the better it is for us. Like, what I wanted to mention, kind of as a background, is that back in the day, in the space age, as they called it, what are we now then, if that's the space age, we always had these promises of everything from like jetpacks to hover cars, and we all kind of look back now and say, hey, we didn't get all that stuff, you know. But I'd like to use the comparison of what how we actually got to the moon, for example. Obviously, an incredible technological challenge, and if you think about the '60s, you know, that's where they did it in. I did a comparison where I took the information about the Apollo guidance computer. So it actually had a 2K of erasable memory. 2K of memory. It actually had a 85 kilohertz processor speed, and it weighed 29.5 kilos. Now, to make the comparison, or to make the leap, I should say, to the question about where's our rocket cars. Well, you take yourself an iPhone, and you actually are holding 32 trillion times more memory. It is 14,000 times a quicker processor, and it weighs somewhere in the range of about, what, 140 grams or so. So what we fundamentally got was our rocket car. It just happens to be this technology. And so how we use it is the key. We can just say, all right, well, I'm going to just, nothing against tweeting or anything, but, you can use tweeting, or maybe you can use the advantages that we have in our hands right now that the Apollo engineers would have loved to have. And so it's not a simple leap, though. You still have to go through a lot of the challenges. And high-altitude ballooning is one of those good steps to actually getting yourself into space. Because as I kind of described the conditions, it's very similar to space-like conditions. So I'm going to show you a little bit, share some images of just a little slideshow of some of the things that we do. Let's see if I can do this correctly. Okay. Is this being shared?
Not yet.
No? Just a minute, then I have to hit some other buttons. Oh, there we go.
Yep.
Yes. Okay. Let's see if this works. Oh, yeah, there we go.
Yes.
All right, here we are. Well, we're definitely not getting to the moon yet, but styrofoam is a big, big element of our payloads. Lightweight. That's the same goes for when you're sending things into space. Weight is a big issue. We use everything from like Arduinos and using base stamps. That's a really good introductory programming microprocessor for students to start learning on. We use PICs, a lot of other equipment. It's, by the way, this entire process, the reason I'm going to describe it a little bit is because it is so simple. And Jay, Moran, you guys can describe how you guys could really do it at home. You have to have a little bit of investment in some tanks of helium and some large-scale balloons, but other than that, it's quite a simple process. So here's some of our students that were actually working on projects. We introduced them to high-altitude ballooning, and then on their own, we sort of, with some suggestions, some guidance, and some feedback, they designed experiments that they launched into space. Well, in the stratosphere, I should say. Near space, we call it. And the person you see in the front, Zach, is now, for the first time ever, going to the state level of science fair with his experiment. It was actually testing radiation shielding for, he's trying to design, he wants to be an Air Force pilot. He wants to design glasses or windshield type filtering to protect against cosmic radiation, which you experience a lot with high altitude pilots. And let's see. So here's us. Sorry, Jay and Moran. This was in the summer. They came out in December. This is a example payload chain that we're launching with a group of students. The balloons start out at about anywhere between 2 and 3 meters wide, and they just lift until they expand to the point where, actually, in this picture, it's hard to see. There's no scale. But they get to about, could be about 8 meters wide, size of maybe a 2-car garage. When they get up to that altitude, eventually the latex that they're made out of bursts, and you get dramatic photos like that.
Wow.
And then we start tumbling back down to Earth in a less than graceful manner sometimes. But that's the shards of the balloon looking up at the sun. As you notice, by the way, the sky is black. We are far above most of the atmosphere, and a little Earth down there below. So, and here's us actually coming down, fortunately, in a wind farm in Indiana. But someone did the calculations. We have a 1 in 10,000 chance of actually hitting one of those windmills. So, yes, it makes us feel a little better. And here are some of the images. These are from last year. Obviously, there's a lot to see here. Here's this shot. You could actually see Lake Michigan. We're south of Lake Michigan where we launched. And this actually from yesterday. Here's I just pieced this together. It's a kind of a sloppy blending job, but it's we're working on a 360-degree camera array with 5 cameras at this point. Once again, you can see Lake Michigan. You can actually see the wind patterns coming off Lake Michigan pushing the clouds away. It's a great study in meteorology too. And you can see, if you look up, it's all black. It's during the day, obviously. We are so close to space. we are so close. So, how do I unshare here?
There you go.
Okay, now how do I unshare
Just click
these?
that button one more time. There you go. You're back.
All right, great. And so what we're aiming to do now that we actually have more manpower, that's me, on the project, it's run mainly by 2 of the astronomers at the Adler Planetarium. We're looking to expand to groups like you guys, like Mach 30. We're looking to get you guys involved, maybe get you guys a taste of launching your own. The experiments you want to design are all up to you. Once again, it's like getting your feet wet in actual space exploration. There's a lot of technological and engineering challenges involved. And so it's a way to sort of work on the discipline that would be needed to actually launch your own, for example, CubeSats. And so as a middle ground, I just want to end with this, that if you want to see what we're doing and follow along with our blog, and we actually have a wiki and a message board, discussion board, you can go to farhorizonsproject.com, and our next step to getting to space is another technological challenge. We want to actually reach space. Now, we know balloons like the back of our hands, but a balloon will not get you there. So, rockets, yes, but a ground-based rocket is, well, to have that, you're pretty much starting your own space program. Well, we're trying to mix the two. What we're calling SPARC, which stands for, this is the mission name, it's called Stratospheric Platform Assisted Rocket Past the Kármán Line. So we're aiming to design and build a rocket that can be launched on the balloon, get up to about 30 kilometers, where you're above, like I said, 99% of the atmosphere. Friction is the main thing that's stopping a rocket from being as efficient as it is. Gravity, obviously, but friction is big. Well, we're above most of the atmosphere. We believe we can actually set a world record for the highest amateur or non-commercial rocket flight, which stands right now at 116 kilometers. We're aiming for 120. Our initial launch date for the test of this is going to be in December. We have a lot of work to do, and there's a lot of technical challenges. Now, that's where the hacker community, that's where the maker community, that's where interested volunteers, even virtually. We're going to start posting elements of the mission and mission discussions on our discussion board, and we need anybody's input. So this is like an invitation to be part of an actual space program. So if anybody's interested, like I said, check out farhorizonsproject.com. So that's what I wanted to say.
Excellent.
All right, and I went ahead and posted that link
Great.
to the Twitter stream. I also do have a question for you.
Okay.
Dan wants to know how much money for a balloon launch. It varies. If you want the startup, like just the basic thing where you drop a GPS-enabled cell phone, you can actually do free apps that you can track online, and then you're going to need helium, a balloon. Balloons run in the range of about $100. Helium, the price is going up, but you can get a large enough tank to get you up to about 100,000 feet for somewhere in the range of a little 100 plus. I think it would all come down to about under $500. Whoops. You should be able to do it under $500, and it depends on if people have launched. I actually helped a high school 2 weeks ago launch their first balloon, and they did it they got some donations, and they were able to do it for virtually free. I don't know if they had to sell candy or what, but they were able to pull some money together, and we actually even donated a balloon for them. So yeah, just a few $100 will get you into your space. You might be able also, if you're raising money, to if you only needed $500, you might be able to do a Kickstarter for something like that,
definitely.
and then sell pictures, your own pictures from space that you helped to launch this balloon, and now we're gonna send you some of the photos.
If you're interested, one of our volunteers actually suggested this, and we're starting to implement it with a program we do in the summer with middle school age kids. And now that we've gotten all our components a lot more small and efficient, we actually have more weight in our payloads. So what we're going to do is, this is a group of about 16 campers for during the summer. We have 2 sessions of it. We're going to allow them about 25 grams each of whatever they want to put in it, as long as it doesn't break anything, to actually send to space. So that might be a great Kickstarter example too. If you say, if you donate whatever your cutoff is, and say you can send us something, we'll send it into space and send it back to you. That might be a good idea.
Very cool. Mm-hmm. I also have to say that I really like the stepping stone approach that you guys are taking. One of Mach 30's core values is the use of mature technology, and not hinging things on jetpacks and flying cars, but instead really getting down with what works and then adding on incremental improvements to move forward.
You can get a lot of off-the-shelf things. I mean, as you might be familiar with CubeSats, I mean, you can buy a pumpkin kit that is fundamentally a pre-made CubeSat. The problem is, if you don't understand it, you're never going to be able to develop.
Right.
And that's kind of our philosophy as well. Get a hands-on approach, work out a lot of the dents of just the understanding of what you're actually going to do and the challenges involved, and that'll inform future work, be it CubeSats or whatever else you want to try.
We've got another question from Twitter. What was the payload chain in the picture?
That was, pull that up again real quick. Let's see, it was this one. Try that again. You're referring to this one right here?
You'll need to redo screen share.
Oh, I am so bad with this. Here I'm trying to send stuff.
Know how you feel.
Figured I had at least. Here we go. There we go.
Yep.
Is that good? Okay. Well, we have the balloon is on top. Our parachute, you definitely need one of those, is the next thing down, that orange and black object there. Then the yellow thing is our payload box. You probably saw that earlier. Holds most of the experiments, cameras, things like that. In this flight, we have different configurations. Now, we have dual GPS trackers. We use the ham radio system, the APRS system, because I mentioned earlier, if you want to do a really cheap flight, you can drop a GPS-enabled cell phone in there. You're going to lose your signal usually above 20,000 feet, and then regain it after you come back down. Hopefully you're in somewhere where you still have cell phone signal. We use GPS trackers that are, you can see them there and there, that use ham radio, and they follow it the whole way. And then the bottom here on this flight, we happen to have a payload that had cameras in it. So it's a camera payload that we're attempting to do something where we actually, we're trying to stabilize our image. There we go. And we've gone a long way since then. We actually have really beautiful, stable images, and through a certain system. And if you check out our blog, we have details about that if you'd like to make one yourself.
Did you just use some kind of a conical mirror for that spark photo on the blog?
Oh, yeah, no, it's actually, it's just I flipped the projection. Are you referring to the one on the...
Yeah, it's a great shot.
It was that was a 5-camera setup, so there are 5 out-pointing cameras, each capturing, obviously a different view around. And then in Photoshop, what we would do is curl it around so the horizon would be all the way along the edge. And that's just a fun thing. It's called Little Planet, where you can wrap it the other way. And our intention is actually, since we have an incredible state-of-the-art dome theater at the Adler, we're going to try to do a dome show. So you can actually come and watch a flight as though you're sitting on the balloon going to 100,000 feet looking down on the Earth.
Oh, nice.
To let you know when that comes out.
That's great.
Yeah.
All right. I think those are all the questions from Twitter.
Well, thanks. Thanks.
Well,
I'm
thank
going to come down and visit.
Yeah.
You're not far away. You're definitely coming back. Yeah.
We'll have your team bus up here and have our Milwaukee Spaces Bucket Works and the Milwaukee Makerspace. We should do a space launch.
Anytime. I do them all the time.
Awesome.
Yep.
Very cool. Very cool. Thank you very much,
You're welcome.
both for the presentation and for the invitation to participate. We're looking forward to it.
When am I going to come down and help you guys launch?
As soon as we can get a couple more hands-on volunteers lined up to do the build. We got
Great.
a couple
I'll be
people
there.
that are on travel, so got to get them
Good.
back in town.
Okay.
So there you go. I think that looks like we're ready for the last round of trivia and then to raffle prizes.
Yeah.
All right. Let's do it. All right, trivia round 3. Still using the hashtag M30YN12. These are trivia questions about Mach 30, so you may want to pre-open your web browser to mach30.org now. Here's question number 1. On what date was the first Mach 30 blog post published, and what was it about? And I'll be the first one to admit that I don't remember. I should.
Well, didn't you write it?
I'm sure I wrote it, but I've written
think
a
you
lot of blog posts. I look forward to finding out what the answer is from Moran.
You do not have the answer sitting there with you?
No. All the space ones I
We're
knew
gonna
by
have to
memory.
look Gotcha.
Except for Flash Gordon. Clearly.
Alright, it looks like I need to open another document then. 'Cause I remember in general, but,
Quick, you gotta beat Twitter.
yeah, I think I'm going to be fine. They have to hit back a whole bunch of times.
I know it's not the one about ITAR. That was last October at ISPCS. I know it's not the one about the Open Design Engine Kickstarter.
The 4 or 5 about the Open Design Engine Kickstarter. Do you want to talk, Jay, for a second about Open Design Engine while people click back on their browsers?
Sure, sure. So Greg mentioned Open Design Engine in passing during his Ignite speech. And Open Design Engine is a web portal to share and manage open source hardware projects online collaboratively. We like to think of it as the source forge for open source hardware. And it's quite true that a lot of open source hardware projects right now are being hosted on SourceForge and GitHub, or doing what Adler's talking about, which is spinning up their own separate forums, and then spinning up their own separate wiki, and trying to keep them in sync. What Open Design Engine does is try to bring all the key features that you need for developing hardware projects into one platform, so that you can get all of that in one place with a single set of user IDs, and everyone can easily move between the various pieces of documentation. And why do we need a special one for hardware? Well, quite honestly, the software ones have grown to be especially specialized for software development. And I gotta switch over here to. There you go. They've become highly the things like SourceForge and GitHub have become highly specialized around the nature of software development, and for very small hardware projects you can kind of get by in them, but if you want to do larger and larger projects, like say build a rocket that's going to dangle off the bottom of a balloon and launch all of those pieces and operate them and get past the Kármán line, or the agreed upon boundary of the edge of space between what is Earth and what is space, which is 100 kilometers, or was that
60 miles.
Huh?
No, 60 miles.
60 miles. It's like 362,000 feet, I think. Something like that.
Alright, I need to interrupt you.
Yep, absolutely.
I'm getting some answers here, but they're all too new. You guys need to keep hitting back.
Further back in time.
I will, as a hint, tell you that the year is 2009.
There you go.
Wow, that was a long time ago.
Yeah, it's not that long after the corporate launch of Mach 30.
Incorporation, yep.
I want to say, well, I don't want to say because people are still looking it up. There you go. I want to say, but I'm not going to.
You know, Jay, one of the things I was going to mention about ODE is that, you know, I've promised we'll get you documents and actual designs of things. Right now, it's sort of like it's a great motivator for us because we've always sort of never documented enough. And knowing that, oh, someone else will want to use this.
Absolutely.
Someone else will want to build on these, you know, these experiments. We're kind of making a push now to do that. So
excellent.
There will be more in the future.
Very cool.
Yeah, documentation is the step that most people like to skip.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
All right. Well, what's interesting is that people are coming to the same conclusion, but it's not the one that I saw. So.
Oh, that's interesting.
So I don't know if they're just going to the bottom and not hitting older.
Oops.
What are they getting? What is the common answer?
I'm getting a lot for a link to Arizona Near Space Research 2710. Something about open source farm hardware, January 21st. Another one on the Arizona Space Near Space Research.
Okay.
Oh, here we go.
There we go.
Here we go. GTOL, take pics from space for $150 on July 14th.
Look at that segue right there. It's a high-altitude balloon post. That's right.
That was a lucky coincidence, but I was pretty happy about it.
That is pretty cool.
Okay.
Thank you.
So we've got GTOL and this poor woman whose name I say wrong every time. Let's see if she's got a real name here. No. All right, so we're going to go ahead and take these two winners here.
Excellent.
And you both win 2 entries, and you can go ahead and go to the next
All right,
one.
yes, that's an important point. The Mach 30 entries are all double, because it's our party. All right, when is Mach 30's birthday is our next trivia question about Mach 30. You won't have to stroll nearly as far back.
James, I love your doodles. What are you using to...
This app is called Paper.
Of course.
Yeah, it's very realistic in that sense. I mean, just being able to, you know, organize a notebook and kind of flip through the pages, the ideas, and then, you know, it doesn't have all the other stuff I typically enjoy, like being able to zoom in really far and, you know, kind of think like a Prezi, but it's very realistic. I mean, it's just very simple. And I'm using an app called Air Server to mirror the display of my iPad on my computer.
I was going to ask it, yeah.
The screen through Google+. So
so it's actually an iPad app?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm drawing on the iPad and real-time streaming that to my computer and then streaming that through Google+ to the internet.
Wow. There's an example
great?
of what did we get instead of flying cars.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
And are you using a stylus? Are you using a stylus?
No, I'm using my finger.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, well, I know what I'm looking up in the App Store tonight.
I have one, but I like to use my finger better.
Wow. Very cool.
You know, Jay, you get the flying car, all you do is have flying traffic. So
Yeah.
at least that you can do something with, yeah.
That third dimension's helpful, though. And I'm really excited by the idea that you do ham radio as well, because there's another thing to practice and learn. When I think of, like, maybe one of these Maker Scout activities is get your license. You know, I mean,
Yeah,
I got mine when I was 11. I mean,
Yep.
haven't we all? So we should, you know, teach
Yeah.
kids to do that. It's such a great thing to do. And I mean, I know they probably don't need one to do this experiment specifically, but nonetheless, learning about radio wave propagation and all these other things while you're designing the balloon system and the experiment platform, I mean, it all fits into a great curriculum in my mind. You know, I think that's awesome.
Yeah. Well, you do need someone with a license. You need a license to be able to fly these. So.
Without the cell phone to do the more rigorous.
Yeah, if you wanted to do the
tracking system.
Yeah, as you showed on your little doodle, the APRS.FI. By the way, I just looked at our blog and I realized I didn't update the last flight. So we always have a countdown to the next flight where you can follow it live on APRS.FI.
All right, we've got some winners here. It is 12709. I just had a friend IM me that said that one of our friends knew the answer to this one, but she can't remember her Twitter logon. So,
So she texted instead. Does that count?
No, it doesn't count. But good job, Vicky. All right. The answer is January 27th, 2009. I'm going to give Dan the benefit of the doubt for January 24th, 2009.
Close enough.
In case I don't know. Just because I feel nice.
Yeah, 4 and 7 are next to each other.
And, for GTAL, who could only find 2009, there was a blog post toward the top with a birthday hat on our logo that shared the date of our birthday.
And me with a little sign saying Happy Birthday, Mach 30.
Yes. Unfortunately, I was talking instead of copying the winners over, so go ahead and show the next one, and I'm going to stop talking and start copying.
All right, this will be our last trivia question of the night, and don't forget, Maureen, those were doubles.
Yes.
And this is our last trivia question of the night. How many projects have been posted to the Mach 30 drawing board?
That I don't know. I have to go and check.
Yeah. And again, that's mach30drawingboard.wikispaces.com. There is also a link to it from the Mach 30 homepage.
I think we put it in the Twitter stream already, so
and it's on the
scroll
Twitter
back
stream.
and find that.
But the link is under one of the menus. I'll give you that much of a hint if you didn't catch us either over Twitter or verbally. Now I'm going to go back to watching the paper here.
We're all fascinated by your doodles, James.
It's so much fun. I'm just trying to think of all the things I've heard and learned, and just just dreaming this dream about what it's like for kids to go to school in the future and think about getting to do this stuff as a normal, everyday kind of background activity. It's just normal to do that.
And it's not that hard. Like I said, that example of we tried a pilot program this fall where we had 6 students, high school students, come in, and they're all interested in either independent research projects for school credit or science fair projects. And I can tell you, when they were like in the city level of science fair, and the kids next to them had experiments about which detergent washes the best, and I wanted to get in his face. It's like he felt pretty proud about that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Sounds great.
Yes, this is science.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I use as a criteria for coolness, because I'm a Star Trek geek, is does something remind me of the realization of a promise of Star Trek? So things like the iPad and modern cell phones remind me a lot of the devices they're always carrying around on the Enterprise, so lots of cool points.
All right, I'm going to cut you off because
Awesome.
we're way over, and I've got some answers.
Excellent. I like
All right,
answers.
the answer is 13, and we've got several winners here who have said that, so instead of massacring your names one more time, I'm just going to put you into our list. And then if you want to go ahead and well, let me do this, and then we'll do you want to show people the prizes ahead of time, or do you want to show them the prizes as we draw them?
Let's show them as we draw them.
Okay, and then we had a request from someone not on Twitter to if we could get James to post some of the doodles that he's doing so people could see them later, either on the blog or somewhere.
Oh, I'd be happy to.
Excellent.
So.
Yes, I know that the balloon and the rocket are not actually configured like this for launch. You don't know. I'm sort of imagining it like, how would you get the rocket to not puncture the balloon? But I'm guessing you're probably going to launch the rocket after the balloon's already burst, right? So.
No, we have to do it before.
What's that?
Once it bursts, how do you know which way it's pointing?
I got it.
Exactly. You know what the... You're close, though.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, we could also just do like a symmetrical balloon setup where there's another balloon on the other side. And they're kind of cradling the rocket launcher like, you know, a two-hulled boat or something.
There you go.
It sounds like you're joining the project.
4 balloons? A quadra balloon launcher?
Could do 3. Yeah.
I don't know.
All right. We have 55 total entries. And if you want to go ahead, I've got a number for who won the first one. So if you want to advance to the slide.
All right. And the winners are, this is just a quick note before we hit the actual winning. Be sure to follow at Mach_30. That's our Twitter account for Mach 30, so that we can message you if you're a winner, so we can then hook up and get your mailing address so we can send you your prizes. And the first prize is a Mach 30 bumper sticker at Astra Precipitatum to the Stars Through community. And the winner?
The winner is Danielle KJ44.
Hey, congratulations.
I'm going to copy this over here. And what's going to happen is that I'm going to direct message you later on Twitter, and we can exchange email addresses to get the real information. I'm not going to try to do that 140 characters at a time.
I can't imagine why not. Are you ready for the next one?
Yes, but stay on that slide because there are 2 bumper stickers.
Ah, excellent. So, bumper sticker number 2 goes to...
All right, now I have to follow these directions that we wrote here on how to get the random number generator to redo. Okay. Is Dan Brando. Brando, probably, yeah.
Hey, congratulations.
Congratulations. Yay, Dan. All right, now advance the slide.
All right. And our next prize is a Yuri's Night, the Mach 30 Yuri's Night Party t-shirt.
And it is the woman whose name I've said wrong all night, Montsekor.
All right. This is a perfect opportunity to remind me to once again thank our sponsor, Innovations Technology Solutions, LLC. They are funding all of the lovely prizes that we're giving away tonight. Thank you again, Innovations.
All right.
You ready for the next one?
Advance the slide, I am.
And now we're going to do a Yuri's Night mug.
No, we just did the Yuri's Night mug,
No,
didn't
we did the Yuri's
or
Night
was
shirt.
that one? Okay. I've just got stuff in a different order here, but that's no problem. I can do it. Now we're doing the mug?
Now we're doing the mug.
All right. And we have a double winner. So the woman who won the shirt, Montsekor, also won the mug.
All right.
All right, and go ahead and advance.
And then they were coming up on the... Is this the last prize, Maureen?
This is the last prize.
All right, for the grand finale, it's a Mach 30 Ad Astra Precipitatum shirt. And the winner is...
DJ Echelon.
All right.
That's very cool. I want one of each.
Well, go to the next slide.
Okay.
Because that's a great...
Thank you, Greg. That was not planned. But couldn't have asked for better. This is where you can find all of the prizes that we gave away tonight and more. It's cafepress.com/Mach, M-A-C-H 30. It's the Mach 30 gift store. And I want to give a shout out to Rebecca McGrady, one of our board members at Mach 30, for doing all of the visual graphic design work on the various pieces of merchandise at the Mach 30 gift shop. They look great as always.
I might have to get her number. We need a logo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She does great work. And
Absolutely. Can't recommend her enough. She's just awesome. We call her our art ninja. All right. I think that about wraps it up for this evening. I want to thank all of our panelists for spending the evening with us, for sharing their time and their ideas, and for working with us on various projects. It's really great to be working with you guys. I want to thank our sponsor again, Innovations Technology Solutions, for sponsoring all the prizes. They wouldn't have been possible without that sponsorship. We really appreciate it. And I want to thank everyone who came and attended this evening. We really appreciate you sharing your time with us to help celebrate Yuri's Night. We hope to see you get involved in projects, both at Mach 30 and with our various partners, or any other open source hardware, especially spaceflight hardware projects that you find in your local communities or online. Again, thank you very much, and let's hear it for more than 5 decades of human spaceflight.
Woohoo!
Yay.
Just a second. I've got some other stuff from Twitter.
Oh.
I want the woman who lives in Costa Rica to know that we planned for the eventuality of sending some gifts overseas, so you're totally good. We're not going to... You still win them. And we are... Thank you all for... we had a note on Twitter about thanking us for doing a digital Yuri's Night party, and it was our pleasure. We Mach 30 is a really distributed organization, so we do tons and tons of our work online, so it was great to be able to do a party online. And I mean, our work is fun anyway, but this was a lot of fun for us, so we really appreciate everybody participating on Twitter as well.
Yeah.
You both
Thank
did
you,
an
guys.
excellent job. Thanks for organizing it.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yep, absolutely.
Thank you, thank you. I have one more small announcement because Maureen just reminded me we do weekly hangouts here on Google+, and announce them on our Google+ page each week, where we do the actual work of Mach 30 and or just hang out and talk about events in space and the mission and visions of Mach 30 and our partner organizations. So if you like what you saw and would like to join us one night at the Hangouts, just RSVP on the Mach 30 page when we announce the Hangout for the week, and we'll be glad to invite you to that Hangout. And it's every Thursday night at 10 p.m. Eastern Time, unless we need to move it for some reason. All right. Again, I think that wraps it up. Thank you very much, one and all. It's been a great Yuri's Night. See everyone back for Yuri's Night 2013, and hope to see plenty of folks around throughout the year to work on projects.
Excellent.
All right. Hopefully by then I can talk about our mission to space.
That will be great.
That'd be awesome.
All right.
All right. Good night.
And everyone.
Night.
Good night.